Welcome to Building and Protecting Your Business Worth program, where we invite business owners and professionals to share their successes, failures, business struggles, and ideas to help other business owners and professionals grow their business. I'm Tom Perrone, your host and moderator. Today we have another great program, and I would like to welcome Don Camerato. Welcome to the program. Don, thank you for showing up and talking with us today.
Well, thanks for having me, Tom. Really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it, and just so the audience has an idea of our relationship, is I've known you 57 years. Hard to believe, but Don Camerato is a well-known name in Connecticut and probably the tri-state area. But I have to tell you, when I was 15 years old playing football, at the end of our football practice, I wandered down to Centerville, Connecticut, in Hamden rather, had a soda, and I find this new clothing store. I walked in, and there's, at the time, Don, you were in your early 20s, but to us, you were older, I should say, right? You were older people.
Yes.
But here's what transpired. Through Don Camerato, we as young people learned so much. He trusted us to give us clothes and give us credit, and he pounded into his professionalism, looking good, and all these years later. So it's my privilege to have you on, Don, because you really impressed many of us, especially us people who went into business. So thanks for that again.
Well, I appreciate everything you've said. And it's funny, you said that, it's funny, the tie back then, the tie was so important. I recognize the importance of a tie. And when I started in the business, I was 19 years old, working as a stock boy, worked my way up. And by the time I went into the service for 6 months, came back, was going to school. And basically I said, I don't want to do this the rest of my life just to be a salesman on the floor. And I said, I'm going to open my own store. And I was 23 years old at the time. I remember coming home and saying to my father, was with his buddies, and I said, Dad, I'm going into open my own store. I'm going to go into the clothing business. The clothing business, he said, you didn't finish school. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. I said, I'm going to do it. And one of his buddies said, I think the kid's got it. It's funny how things happen. The next day, I go to work where I was working at Harmac, a men's clothing store at the Hamden Mart. And there was an argument with the fellow had a shoe concession, and he had an argument with the owner, and he pulled his shoe concession out of the store. And I said to him, he left, and I know where I got the courage. At that age, I got the courage to call him. And I said, Henry, I'm thinking of opening my own store. You think you can give me shoes on consignment? And back then, I had no money. We had not really very lower middle class family as far as finances go. And he said, yeah. He says, I want to meet you and your mother and father, which he did. And I found a location in Centerville going by in my car. And I said, my heart started beating. And I said, this is for me. This is the store. And it was right in the heart of Centerville, across from the Hamden Town Hall. And I had a location. I got Henry to put shoes in the store. And I had the pressure. My mother and father, did not have a lot of assets. The only asset they had as a family was the home, a two-family home. And they went to the bank, and they got a loan, which I was responsible to pay back. And boy, was that pressure back at that age that I had a obligation that I could not. I was scared. I want my parents to lose their home or anything like that. And we got the loan, and I started with nickels and dimes. I mean, I went and I met John Alexander, which was a manufacturing company in New Haven on Hamilton Street. And I got them to give me some clothing as I picked out. And by the way, my goals were always to be different. I knew I could not compete with at that time, the big stores. And I said, the only way I can survive is to be different. And I had a flair, a knack for buying and looking for unusual things. And again, having limited capital, I had to sell, as I put it, make a intangible become tangible, and that was doing that through made to order. Which it's funny, I'm doing that today, 58 years, almost 60 years later. I'm still doing that made to order business. But anyways, I started, and I worked 7 days a week, whatever it was. I couldn't go home without making a sale. I don't know if people felt sorry for me or whatever, but I had a unique style, a unique flair. It was a 1,000 square foot store. And back then, see, you got inventory on credit, and the banks were not involved. So you would go to a supplier. And I remember going to New York City for the first time and looking at the tall buildings and all, and working my way through and meeting with different, again, suppliers, picking out merchandise. And I started to fill the store with a lot of inventory. And Tom mentioned that the young fellas back then would come in the shop and I would give them credit. And I gave them credit because back then I got credit from the suppliers, and I passed the credit. The deal that I made was making, I gave that credit to the clients, and I carried an awful lot of money on accounts receivable. But again, I was always learning the hard way. I was a young fellow who was always hungry for knowledge, hungry to be different, learning from others, recognizing that there was so much that I didn't know. And again, as I always said, I learned the hard way about life, business, myself, and others.
Yeah. And let me interject. One of the things that people will always say about you, as a matter of fact, I was with a gentleman who's well known in the New Haven area, a very good attorney. And he said to me at lunch, Don Camerato is the best salesman I've ever met because he made things happen. And you did that so well, Don. You painted the picture when we'd come in and get clothing, how we looked. We felt so great coming out. You made something very tangible for us. And that was part of the whole thing, is let's go see Don. He made us look good. I mean, you really stepped us up quite a bit. And I think, you were a tremendous salesman in a very positive light. But I noticed over the years, because after I was a young man moving forward and in business myself, your name would pop up all the time. But what I realized was happening is that you were learning how to be a good businessman very quickly, because there wasn't a project going on that people didn't want Don Camerato on it, besides your leadership ability.
Oh, gee, thanks, Tom. Yeah, I'd say, again, as I always used to say, youth has no fear. And yeah, I made a lot of mistakes. There's no question about that. But I learned through making the mistakes. As I said, it became really somewhat a self-made man. I mean, what got me really going in the business was men would come into the store with their wives or girlfriends, whatever, to buy a suit. And the boss was always looking over your shoulder to make sure at that time you had to walk. You didn't want the customer to walk out of the store without buying anything. And I came up with the idea back then. I said, geez, if a guy's buying a suit with a t-shirt on or a sweatshirt, whatever, I got to put you can't really tell. So I came up with the idea of pinning a shirt, and their boss would look at me. I would have pinned the shirt, grab a tie that I knew would work for him, and I would tie the tie on the client. And by tying the tie on the client, I would take the jacket, put the jacket on him, and the customer would say, geez, I like that, I'll take it. See, again, the pretty picture. I made, but again, back then, maybe without even realizing it, I made men look good. And my whole thing was making people look good, finding a look that would work for them. And I think I go back to my early days as a young fella, as I always liked the movies, and I was always attracted by different movie stars. Alan Ladd, Gary Cooper, Rex Harrison, these are names out of the past, but they all had a style. And I copied a lot of that style and I applied it to the client, to customers. And I made guys look good. Plus, I was buying unique clothing that I thought worked for them. That started to build reputation. By the way, how I came up with the name Decam Limited at that time, my name being Don Camerato, I had to come up with a name of the store when I opened it. And I was throwing names out one day with a bunch of the people that I work with. I said, I think I'll call the store a Donald. I'll call it Cam. No, I said, I'm going to call it Decam. Decam. And an old timer said to me, why don't you add limited to it? I said, you know something? You're right. Decam Limited. And that's how I came up with the name. Crazy as it might be, but the name had a ring to it. It was different. And again, meeting a fella from the industry one day, he says to me, don't depend on manufacturers' labels, because the manufacturer will sell every store up and down the street. Build your own name. And that struck me. And I put all the emphasis I had on Decam Limited. Now, my advertising back then, again, being unique, I did things that I know others did not do. And I always had, as time went on, I always had a PR man around me. I believed in the public relations and the advertising, learned back then that public relations, there was no charge. You had to pay for advertising, but PR was no charge. And that's where I also got involved with a lot of outside activities. I needed to meet people, expose my business, myself, my philosophy, whatever. And I started to I attracted people and built sales. The big thing was I had to sell. I had to sell because of cash flow. Having no money when I started, I needed money to pay my bills, pay my obligations, and pay back that loan that I had that my mother and father went on the hook for, of my responsibility. And I felt that pressure day in and day out. I had to produce, I had to sell. And yet,
well, the thing I was jumping in is you were very unique, because at the time, there was no other store that you could go in. You mentioned Horowitz at the time. That was a big clothing store in Hamden back in the 60s and 50s and 60s. But you could not go to maybe J Press might have been the only other place that you would go in a store and get the personal attention, taking the shirt, putting against it, trying on the jackets, doing all those things that made you feel good and made the outcome. So the outcome was great, right? Plus your
no question,
brother was really great. But I do have a question about the importance of professional dress, because as you know, we've seen it change, has been dressed down. Let's talk about the importance of that, because I know, Don, that you talk to a lot of employers and they don't really have a way of communicating to their employees how really to dress that really to them represents our company. So let's talk about professional dress, where it is today. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, well, where we are today, it's no question, everything has changed. But, the shirt and the tie and the jacket, wherever you go and you're dressed, you get respect. You go into a restaurant, you go here, you go there, whatever, people look at you a little differently. Young people today are missing out on that. They don't realize you're telling somebody what you think of yourself the way you dress. and they're missing that point. Hopefully, things will return. I've seen the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, all the way up. I've seen the different styles come and go. Right now, the style is, I guess I'd have to say, sloppiness. A lot of the men, especially, are sloppy. And they don't realize that you don't have to spend a lot of money to be well dressed. The difference is taste. If you're going to a store, find a salesperson or someone that takes to you, that shows you, helps you, takes you along the way, rather than just buying on impulse. A lot of men and women, they buy on impulse. They put what they buy in the closet, they put it in a bag, and they wear it once or twice, and that's it. I believe in investment clothing. I believe in the fact that every man should have a basic blue blazer in their wardrobe, a pair of gray slacks, just a simple white shirt and a nice tie. I mean, you could go anywhere in the world and break bread with a blue blazer on, gray slacks, white shirt, nice tie, whatever. Even if you got to put a sports shirt on, we talk about dress down. You could take that whole outfit and just dress it down. Put a pair of khakis on or jeans with a sports shirt, and you throw a blue blazer on. You look nice. You look classy.
There's another part of that too. I believe, and correct me if you feel I'm wrong, but I feel you're more productive when you feel and look professional. Look, not every profession needs to be dressed up like you and I are right now. But I'll tell you, if you're working with the public, for an example, Don, you got someone working with the public, the same kind of job, and they're seeing clients. Who would you give the advantage to? The person dressed with a simple sport coat and a tie versus the person that walks in with a shirt and khakis on? I know, where I put my money. I put my money. What do you think?
Well, as I said, it's you're telling somebody what you think of yourself the way you dress. I mean, I could tell you story after story, but I had a couple that made sense to me or stayed with me. I had a fella tell me that he started out working for a firm, and he took pride in himself. He dressed up every day, and a lot of the guys in the office or whatever did not pay attention to the details that he did. One day, the boss comes in, and he wanted to go to lunch with an important client, and he said he wanted to take one of his associates with him. And he took the fella that looked nice, that was dressed well. He took him out to lunch. And the fella never forgot that, and he rose through the ranks because the boss or whatever took a liking to him, the way he took care of himself. He represented the boss. He represented the company the way the company wanted to be recognized. Another situation was an accountant. He was calling on a manufacturing company, and he went into the manufacturing company to meet the owner, whatever. And he was dressed. What he said, geez, he dressed the way they dressed in the factory. And the owner said to him, "Why didn't you wear a shirt and tie?" He says, "Well, I didn't want to feel out of place." He says, "I hired you or brought you into the picture because you were different, because you looked like a professional. You didn't look like you were one of the workers here." So again, that was a case of looking the part, paying attention, be a good listener, look the part, look at the way your people around you are dressed. Again, you don't want to overkill the situation, but again, take the pride in yourself.
If you come back to an employer, they put a lot of money in employment and good people. And we have had discussions about employers trying to communicate to their employees how they really want the dress code to look. And you've had many conversations about that.
Yes. A lot of
Are they
a lot
losing?
of things.
Are they losing the battle? Sorry, Don. Are they losing the battle on dress code or what?
Well, they're losing the battle somewhat. See, a lot of times I would get called into different situations over the years that I would do a dress for success, uh, explaining the way pants should fit, explaining the way a jacket should fit, explaining the fact why you should wear show a little white of the cuff with your jacket. You know, the worst thing a man can do, and you see a lot of it, they wear the sleeve length on their jackets too long. And by doing so, it come across very sloppy. A simple thing like that. Men typically lose the weight, lose their weight, and it goes to the front. They lose their butt, and the weight goes to the front, so they get a gut. And what happens? The pants fall, the gut comes over the pant, and everything is sloppy. You know, the jeans had such an impact in the menswear and ladies wear industry. Every place you go, wherever you go, you see guys, you know, wearing jeans. And they like the jean because the jean has what they call a short rise. You could wear them low, and they're fitted and they're tailored, and the guy feels comfortable in them. But you could get that same kind of fit relating to a suit jacket or a pair of slacks, whatever. But again, it's finding the right individuals to tailor it and to fit you in the proper way. But clothing today, I've been trying to professionalize really an unprofessional industry. And as I said earlier, it doesn't take a lot of money. You don't have to spend a lot of money to be well dressed. The thing of it is to understand color coordination, understand putting things together. Women understand that. Men don't. Most men don't.
Well, that was the one thing you were able to help. Look at we you know, we were in blue jeans, or I call it blue jeans. That's how old I am. Jeans. You know, we learned when we'd go into your store. You would give us an education about the tie, the pocket, the whole thing, which made some sense. And you know, I hear what you said. That education still needs to be out there because, you know, I go to a funeral and I see people wearing sweatpants to honor.
Yes.
I said, this is really, and again, in professionalism, an accountant, attorney, a financial planner, whatever it might be, when you're dealing with the public, man, it really, there's a big difference between people, the way they look and how they do their work. We've talked about this too. We've talked about tailored clothing and why they're important to professional people who first have the dollars to spend, but tailored clothing versus off the rack, Don. Let's talk about that.
Well, the off the rack clothing, you're buying clothing. Their storekeeper is buying clothing to fit everyone. The made to measure end of it is really geared for, the way I've seen it over the years, it's geared for the man who's hard to fit. He has a big chest, broad back, and he's got a small waist, or vice versa. That they can't get fitted properly. The way the made to order, you cut it to the measurement. It's really a great way to buy, and you're buying something that no one else is tried on. When you go into a store, you try on a jacket, you try on a suit. You don't know how many people tried that particular item on. And what you're buying is that something that the storekeeper has bought, that he's hoping to sell it. He's got inventory. He's got to sell the inventory. Made to measure, when you're buying made to measure, for example, there's no pressure relating to buying inventory, because you're creating the inventory. You're selling from a clip of cloth. You're selling from an intangible, and you're making it tangible. Because most people, it's really the art of visualization. So it comes out to the individual who's selling it, who's presenting it, So you could see, get a feeling of what the finished product is going to look like. But I've been an advocate of the made to measure business only because of starting with limited capital. I didn't have money to build up an inventory. As time went on in my early career, I ended up with 4 stores, built up an inventory second to none. It was the store throughout Connecticut. People came from all over. I've sold people from all walks of life. And, again, learning all the time from people, but creating a look. And again, I'm a great believer in being different. You walk into a room, do you want to see yourself coming and going? Do you want to sit in the corner or do you want to stand out? So, like I said, I've attracted, the made to measure attracts people who are hard to fit, who want to be different, and likes to this designing their own type of a style, and not spending a lot of money. You can spend a lot of money. I mean, I've sold, whatever. The point of it is, do what works best for you. But if you're buying off the rack, that's easy too, because the off the rack is the easy way to go. You try to coat on, you say, geez, I like it, this and that, I'll take it. But be careful of buying on impulse, or be careful of following the young people, especially. They follow the athletes, they follow the entertainers, they follow people they're impressed by, and they want to look like them. And you know something? That's a mistake. Earn your way up the ladder. Work your way up the ladder. Don't try to be something that you're not. Fashion comes and goes. Style is lasting. When you buy a good style, it won't go out. It'll stay in your wardrobe.
You have always been an advocate of your own personal style, right from the get-go. I've always heard you say that. And you've built these brands, but not your own brand. Your brand was to help people build their style so they felt good. So
correct.
Through the years, Don, you have been through relationships, you've been involved with so many things, and this young 20-something-year-old guy starts from nowhere and becomes the person that everybody wants on the committee. We want Don Camerato's input because you're very creative, and your relationship with people has been unbelievable, even to this day. So over the years, I kind of think you've created your own business savvy. Let's talk about what it takes to create business savvy and be good at it.
Well, I think the other thing that I've been blessed with is 2 things: high energy and vision. Vision is critical to recognize, like they say, to recognize something before it was born. To have that kind of vision was very instrumental for me. So I was always a step ahead of the pack, always a little ahead of my time, good and bad, but I'd have to say more on the good side, because that's what gave me identity. Again, I put myself, I did things that were difficult to do for me. And I think that's another key ingredient. Most people do what they feel comfortable doing. I learned a long time ago, do the things that you're not comfortable with. Those are the things that could make you successful. Because most people look for the comfort zone. They want to stay in that comfort zone. They resist change. I'm a great believer in change. You have to change, but change slowly, not greatly, but change, because the clock is ticking on all of us. Time goes by, things change. So you have to be aware of that. You have to be on top of it. Again, learning the hard way, surrounding yourself with successful people. Look how others do it. Sometimes you get into a rut. You get in with your buddies, and they're all on the same wavelength. Don't be afraid to step out of the pack. Step out, examine yourself, look at yourself, see where you're going. And you got to have the drive. You got to have the energy. You have drive. What do you want to be with what do you want to do with your life? And I mean, someone told me a long time ago, which I never forgot, touch another human being in a positive way. You've done God's work. Most people take, you got to give. You give, you get it back. It's quid pro quo. Okay.
Well, you've said a lot here, but not only have you said it, but I've experienced it with you. You took risks. You stepped out of the box. No money. Guess what I'm going to do? I saw a vision. And here now you have this beautiful store. You told me the story about the financing of the store because you ended up with a beautiful store, but you took risks. There was no guarantee that you're going to be able to pay these things, but you took the risk. You saw a vision. And, you know, Don, you brought up something really important that I have seen in you. You are the #1 giver. You put yourself out there to help people, and that's really been a great makeup and your relationship with other people, and people know that. So you're hitting on a lot of the things here.
Well, it takes nothing to put a smile on somebody's face. Look around you today. There's a lot of angry people out there.
Yeah.
I mean, you see a lot of people are not happy. They don't know where they're going. I mean, yes, we all have adversity, and I've had plenty of it in my life. I mean, I could go, that's a whole nother chapter in my book of handling adversity, learning through mistakes, handling problems. That's what, it's nothing comes easy, and anything comes easy, you know something, built on a weak foundation. Build a strong foundation. I've always said, Father in heaven, send in the problems. The more problems you handle, the stronger you become. You got to build a strong base. And there's so much out there. And by smiling, being upbeat, attitude is, to me, if a person has a negative attitude, stay away from them. Surround yourself with people that have a positive attitude. Attitude is everything.
Excuse me 1 second. Let me shoot this. Okay.
Go ahead.
You know, obviously you've had such a breadth of time of running businesses, learning. Sure, there's been stumbles and blocks. There's been successes. So, but through it all, you've built a tremendous reputation, and I know you're still very active now. Tell us about what you're doing now.
Well, what I'm doing now is that I still feel that I haven't accomplished what I want to accomplish with my life. And that is, I'm still doing the made to measure, the clothing end of it, by appointment. I work by appointment only. I do have clients that, as I said, that have been with me for years. I never realizing people die off. So you have to constantly replace and add to your database. I'm doing that. I'm also involved. I'm excited about getting involved with you, which we are on the same wavelength, and that is helping people, sharing my life experiences with others. So maybe I can make something a little easier for somebody, that they don't have to go through some of the adversities that I've gone through in my life. But so I'm doing that. I'm also involved with, which I enjoy, at Quinnipiac University. I'm an usher at the hockey and basketball games. And I enjoy that because I'm around people. I'm the type of a guy who has to be with people. This COVID that we've gone through has taught me an awful lot. It was an opportunity, again, through a negative time, an opportunity to reevaluate yourself, step out of yourself, look at yourself. What have you done? What are you doing? Where are you going? Pay attention to your loved ones. Life is short. there's a lot going on out there. Motivate people. Tell people, if again, as I said, old Chinese proverb, if you can't smile, don't open the shop. Be around positive thinking people. So what am I'm doing that. I've just taken some space in the Hamden Chambers office, where I have a little office there. And if people want to come and talk to me and meet with me, they can do that. Again, as I said, I work by appointment. I like being around people. So I'm doing that. So I'm working at it. I got something going on. I'm the type of a guy also that I could say in my career, I've always had something to go forward with, never stopping. Okay. A lot of times you get beat up and you stop and you go home and no, I say go forward every day. Adversities, don't stop. Keep going forward. Think, come up with new ideas. Don't be afraid of dreams. Again, that's another story, but making dreams become a reality. I had a vision of developing the center of the town of Hamden. People thought I was crazy. It took me 10 years of my life, but I did it. I put together completed the whole center with IBM, parking garages, different corporations, whatever. Again, a learning experience, a lot of ups and downs. It became a reality, was the big accomplishment. It didn't work out really financially for me, but it was a dream come true. I did it. And I felt good about that. It's something to look at and say, geez, it worked. But again, nothing comes easy. Never give up. I loved Winston Churchill. He had some great sayings. Success is never final. Failure is never fatal. It's courage that counts. And that's so true. You got to always believe in yourself. Don't get down on yourself. You have a problem, there's something else that's going to come your way.
Don, you had mentioned a project that we're involved with, and I just want to explain it because Chambers and Rotaries and Lions Club will be hearing more about this. But we have a number of people like Don who've had tremendous success, experience, stumbling blocks, the good, the bad, the ugly, got through it. And we have a speakers bureau where these organizations can tap these people on demand, a video or whatever it might be. And Don's one of our speakers. And so I'm going to bring this up, Don, because we have to be closing here time-wise, but I'm going to make sure on this webinar video that we have contact information where people can contact you, whether it be to help them with their clothing needs, doing some tailoring, whatever it might be, and also to contact you about a speaking engagement, because in this area you have no problem speaking in person. And of course, we know that Don likes to tell stories, right, Don?
Yes. Oh, I could go on and on.
Oh, he can go on and on. So that's what Don was talking about. So look, in the next couple of months, we're going to have quite a catalog of very good professionals helping. And we're trying to grow, like Don has always teaches us. We're trying to help the people and the organizations that gave to us initially. The chambers and all these organizations are in trouble. They're losing memberships. They're not bringing in new people. COVID hit them hard. We want to help those organizations. So we want to add some value to what they're offering. Right, Don?
Yes, no question, Tom. I mean, I feel you got to, again, creating excitement. The old story is, well, what could you do for me? It has nothing for me. That's a negative attitude. There's always something you could do, always something you could learn. And I think your program that you have is going to be terrific with the Speakers Bureau. I'm excited about it. I mean, I could, if they wanted to reach me, I don't know if you call me on my cell. I return the call. If I miss it, I'll get right back to you. But I am available. And look, again, helping people, pushing up people. That's the key. You got to push up people, make them feel good about themselves.
And you have a good message about professionalism, discipline, looking looking the part, being the part. There was a saying, fake it till you make it, and sometimes looking good is the faking till you make it. So, hey, listen, my career, the first 8 years, I was broke, right? But I had to make it, right? But we have to close, Don, and I'm going to make sure all the contact information is available that people can contact you. And this program is not only in video, it will be on podcast, on building and protecting your business worth podcast on all the platforms. So, Don, anything before we leave you want to add?
Well, I'd like to, my cell phone number, which is 203 535 4288. That's 535-4288. I can be reached at that number. I'm also at the Chamber, Hamden Chamber office. I'll have my office there. They can reach me there as well. But I am available for talking, speaking, helping people look good, spend their money wisely, and so forth.
I have one thing to ask you, then we will end. But Don, if someone is really not sure how you could help them in their area of dress and style, do you give them a 50-minute consultation for free, or what do you do?
Yeah, I would, no question. I would do that. I would give that free consultation to get started. If they want to take it further, you take it further.
Perfect.
But there's a lot that I talk about. Not only, like you said, Tom, not only the clothing end of it, but also the business part of it. The ups and downs, the empowering of the entrepreneur, never losing the dream, fire in the gut. I mean, I go on and on. Attitude, surrounding yourself with the right people, constantly learning. But again, like as I said, I can go on, and it's all about people, others.
We're two Italians that could keep talking. Our hands will be moving.
Yes.
But listen, Don, I want to thank you so much for sharing. It's been a privilege knowing you as a friend for so many years. You've enhanced our lives greatly. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, Tom. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy to all. Thank you.
Thank you. This was another great program, and we hope you enjoyed the information which was shared with us. If you would like to be on the show, email me at tperrone@necgginc.com. That's Tom, or tperrone @necgginc.com, or call me at 203-530-6615. That's 203-530-6615. Also, consider picking up a copy of my book, Unlocking Your Business DNA. You can get it at Amazon, both paperback and Kindle, and profits go to Wounded Warrior Foundation. This book has great ideas of how to build your business while also finding your beach in life. Again, thanks for viewing this webinar.